Hi, welcome to today's live, another challenge. And in today's video, I will be talking about what do you do when the trust in relationship is broken. Okay, now trust can be broken from two aspects, two angles. One is that your partner has lost trust in you. Another angle is that you have lost trust in your partner. So today I'm going to be talking about your partner losing trust in you. Okay, now this is a very very huge topic because relationships are actually built on trust. Okay, the it's a very deep foundation for any relationship. Now, to keep that time factor in mind, time factor of this video, I have made very few points for you to take away and start to practice, right? So I'm going to be referring to my notes just to ensure that I don't go beyond time, and you are able to take away something that you can truly start to implement. Okay, now, if at a point in time when the life is going by fine, you're happy, and somewhere that there is a trust in the relationship, there comes a scenario, there comes a day or maybe a situation where you see that you realize that your partner has lost the trust in you or does not trust you. Now at that moment it comes as a very very rude shock, because until now you were quite comfortable believing that there is trust, and this in this situation, when you get to know that this trust is not there, you are completely taken aback. So in that scenario, what happens is, the worst thing that happens is that with this trust breaking from your partner's side, at an unconscious level you start to doubt yourself, that 100% trust which you used to have in yourself now has got broken, and even you are not able to trust yourself 100%. You may not be aware of this, but if you go back in time and look at that situation, you will realize somewhere that trust in your own self has got lost. Now, that being the case, the trust in the relationship has got completely shaken. So what do? Number one, first thing you need to realize is that if your partner has lost the trust in you, it does not mean that you are not a trustworthy person. So you will continue to trust yourself, continue to believe that you are a trustworthy person, which means stop looking at yourself from your partner's perspective, from your spouse's perspective. Have that belief in yourself, and if the trust is broken, it does not mean that's how you are. Okay. Number two, understand and remember that if your partner has is not being able to trust you, then there is a possibility, which is a very high possibility, that he or she is looking at you from a certain perspective. He or she is looking at you in a certain frame. They might be interpreting things from their own perspective, which may not be true. That frame also may not be true. Okay, their interpretation of that situation, their interpretation of you in that situation may not be the truth. So it is their perspective, not yours. So let go of their perspective. I told you in my initial videos, just watch that like you're watching a drama, right? Third thing you have to do is, uh, at some point in time, whenever you get time, just sit with yourself in silence. Now, believing that there could be 50% role your partner has played and 50% role that you have played in this trust getting shaken up. Okay, imagine that that's just the 50%, to be fair on both sides. So it's the 50% role. So then sit down with yourself and think, what might have gone wrong from your own perspective. What is your 50% of the role that might have led to breaking that trust? Now, whatever that might be, Again, you will not criticize yourself, you will not demean yourself, you will not be unkind to yourself. Accept. So if, for instance, a mistake has been made, accept to yourself that this mistake has been made, acknowledge it to yourself, forgive yourself, and then let go and move on, right? And then also you are going to ensure that whatever mistake that was made, that 50% of your share, you are not going to be repeating that again. That's the commitment you are going to make to yourself. Next step, once you've made that commitment to yourself and you understood where your mistake is, next what you're going to do is this. Now this is a bit of deep work. It is possible and I definitely want you to do it. So what you will do next is ask yourself this question, and that question is, I mean, I know it might sound very offensive, but believe me that when you set aside your ego and work on this question, you will start to rebuild that trust naturally without your efforts. Okay? So the question you will ask is, what is in me that has created this situation of distrust, or what is in me that has broken this trust? You know why? Because a lot of scientific research has been done which shows that, and I'm sure you must have heard that whatever you are on the inside, deep inside, it gets reflected on the outside. Okay, so imagine that if I have taken the responsibility for at least 50% of breaking of that trust, what is that pattern in me that has broken this trust? Try to identify that pattern. The moment you identify that pattern, it will automatically begin to dissolve. So let's take an example here. So for instance, uh, from your childhood you realize that there was some instance in the past where you have not been able to trust your teacher. Okay, so you have been very good in your academic performance and you thought that the best student award is going to come to you, and your teacher loves you so much, but then you realize that on the day of annual function the best student award has gone to some other student. Now at that point in time your trust has gone broken. Similarly, in other examples, other experiences of your life, you realize that every time there was an authority figure, teacher is an authority figure for student, right? So each time there was an authority figure, somewhere the trust got broken. Somehow the trust got broken. So in your experiences, the pattern has been that whenever there is an authority figure or an important or a significant person in your life, somehow you have seen that the trust has been breaking. Now that's the pattern. Now this could have been your experience in your student life, this could have been your experience in your professional life. And when you see that this is the pattern, that every time there is an authority figure or every time there is this significant other, something breaks the trust. Now once you identify this pattern, right, you have actually become aware of that pattern. Now the fact that this pattern exists is in your radar, you know it is there. The moment you're becoming more and more aware of this pattern will begin to dissolve. Though observation alone, becoming conscious alone of this pattern is going to help you dissolve this pattern. And in case some bit of that pattern is still left, that is where little more deep work will be required. But to begin with, I want you to notice and identify those patterns that might have interfered in your relationships, that have those patterns have broken that trust. Now this is something that you are going to do. Now next, which is very important, I would not say step, but I would say in that whole process, what is very important is to have patience, because identifying the pattern and then breaking the pattern needs a lot of time, needs a lot of patience, needs you to be sitting with yourself, going back, reflecting on those emotions that are associated with that pattern. The moment you look at that pattern, those emotions will surface. Look at those emotions, observe those emotions, and with pattern, those emotions will begin to dissolve. And that is how, when we say what is in me that created this distrust, that part that created this distrust, that program that created it, is going to dissolve. And when you have that patience and time to observe that pattern, you will realize that the trust will begin to build up. Because I want you to remember one thing, that in a great relationship, trust does not break. It might dodge a bit. In some situations, there could be an element of doubt creeping in, but the trust will not break completely to the extent that, you know, uh, it appears that the other person cannot be trusted even 1%. All right, so you are going to be following all these steps, and slowly and gradually, this is how your trust is going to come back again. And remember, the bottom line here is, you will not see yourself from your partner's perspective when the trust gets shaken, because that partner of yours is basically interpreting the situation or you from his or her perspective, and that is not you. You are who you are. You do not see yourself from your partner's perspective. And then you work on it, the patterns, identify where your mistake has been, work on, ensure that you do not commit that mistake, identify those patterns, observe the emotions related to those patterns, continue to trust yourself. And over time, then this trust will start to build again, right? Now, that is from me for today's video. If you have any questions, please, please, please ask those questions. And I am telling you once again that you will be, in a position to ask these questions only when you are practicing these strategies. Okay, so while we are on day 4 today, but you can ask questions from any of the previous days exercises or the activities that you are doing, because then only you will be making progress. As I said that, it is important to gain knowledge, but then, putting knowledge into practice is what is going to impact your life, is what is going to change your life, is what is going to make you to see a new direction. So keep practicing, and I'll be very happy to take your questions. And should you have any topic which you want me to cover specifically, please let me know either in the comment box or privately, or in a while I'll be leaving a link also where you can fill up where you want, the topic that you want me to cover, and I will take it the next day, right? Thank you so much, and I will see you tomorrow once again at 3:30. Bye bye.